All right. Hello, hello, and welcome to the final stream. The final stream for me. And I thought I would do something different today, and I will be doing the basics, the core stuff. So by core stuff, I mean, starting with the most obvious, so the bases. And I chose a box which is absolutely spectacular, in my opinion. It's one of the prettiest boxes that I've ever seen from Word Games. That's the story, part of the story. It's called Legendary Stories. So we have three miniatures, and I will probably butcher those names. It's the story of Fan Yong, story of Raijin, and story of Sun Wukong, so the Monkey King. And let me tell you guys, those are pretty spectacular miniatures. And I will be preparing and assembling them, maybe all three of them, maybe more of them. I have more boxes behind me. I have the core box waiting for it's not even opened yet. And Map is the miniature that I mostly look forward to assembling here, as well as those amazing bookkeepers. But for now, let's just start with it. Well, that's the European way of butchering Eastern names, which maybe we're closer to, in Europe to the eastern part of the world. That makes it somewhat easier. So it might seem obvious, right, that you just cut them off, the spruce, and put them together. But I've developed some good habits. I think that at least they work for me, and I will be sharing them with you today. So one thing just to get out of the way, before you start cutting them off, go to instructions, right? You have, probably there's even a note in the box that says that there are instructions, or there should be. Well, either way, if you go to Word Games, if you just type the name of the miniature in Google and instructions, it will take you directly and to the section. And when you look at those miniatures, like this guy Rajin here, looks kind of intimidating when you see it for the first time. That it's such a complex miniature with those drums and this kind of magical effect moving around him. But it's actually made out of, if I look at the instructions, 5 pieces, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, 7 pieces. And what I do is I always keep this side of the box in front of me so that I have clear reference for the 3D render of the miniature that I'm currently working on. And what I like to do is just to start with the bit that contains the legs. So always hold it, not this side, but that side, so that you don't cut off any bit of the model itself. And then when I get to the point where there's only one part connecting the kit, I typically just twist it off and I have it. So we have the main body, and what I'll do is I'll start cleaning it. And there are different tools that you can use, but what I do 90% of the time, maybe even 99% of the time, is just simple hobby knife. And you can use any. I think I bought mine like 7-8 years ago. And all you need to do is every now and then just replace the blades. You will notice that there are some chips that it starts breaking, and then you need to replace it. But if you work on plastics only, then you won't need to replace it all too often. So what I do is I just essentially look at it, try to identify all those mold lines, and let me just adjust the visibility. First of all, I cut off carefully. You need to be careful because those blades are really, really sharp. And then once you find the mold line, it's like in the middle of the leg section here, I just scrape it off, gently pressing, because if you press too hard, then you leave a mark. And that will be visible when you start applying the paint. So you want to be very thorough in this part. And I just, once I see the mold line, it typically goes around the whole miniature. So I just start turning it around and finding the place where it's visible. And look at the miniature from all angles. And just go with the flow. And you know, it's something that you should never hurry with, because one, you can really hurt yourself, and trust me, this pointy end of the knife, it's easy to really to stab yourself with it, and it's unpleasant. So gentle pressure. If you press it too hard, it will just break. Simply, the blade will break. And just move it around, identify those places, and it's like with painting, you do not apply heavily the colors, you just go lightly. So the same applies here. The same principle applies here. You just go lightly. You don't press hard. And as well, try to look at it from more than one angle, just to make sure you identify all those places where the lines after the injection, because it's mold injection, so that there is this mold into which this part is injected, and when it's taken out, there's like a less than 1 millimeter, a tiny line that separates one half from another of the part that's produced this way. And it's quite important, because if you don't go through the stage which I'm going through right now, if you don't remove it in the process, then in the long run it's just gonna look bad when you start applying the paints. So now we have the core part, and let me just look at the card. Regine is on 40 millimeter base, I believe. I've seen him only once on the table, so I'm not sure yet. Yes, he's on the 40 millimeter. So I'll just take a first measure. I have a few 40 millimeter bases, and they're all beautiful resin bases. As you can see, it's got some like runic inscriptions, and I plan to paint the bases bright yellow and make these elements glowy. There is also some sand here, and what I'll do, I'll just take a first, let's call it a dry fit, and see if I can adjust it well. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I just look at an angle, like you see, if I put it from this angle, then his wooden sandals don't touch the base in all connecting points. So I need to find an angle, and I think I will get one here, which will be just fine. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm happy with it. I can also look at it at some different angles, but I think this angle is the best. Now, what I will do is I will grab a hobby drill, and I use one that's manual. I don't need to use electric one. I feel like I just have more control when I use it. And I will look for a place where I can start drilling, because you want the pins to be, well, as invisible as possible. So what I'll do is I will just get a good measure of it. I think I will start drilling somewhere in the middle of this section of the sandal, but I won't start drilling straight away into the plastic, because it can slide off. It's hard to keep it straight. So what I do is, once I've identified the place where I want to make this hole, I just make a small incision with hobby knife, like literally just a tiny dot, and I aim for the midsection. And now I know it's probably not the easiest thing to see all the details that I'm describing here. That's why I'm giving you a very thorough voiceover of what I'm doing. So I just press gently into the midsection and start rotating the drill. I stop, I pause, I make sure it's firmly in the center, and I continue. I keep on going. Don't go too fast. You can also look at it from the angle if the miniature isn't, if you're not making any breaks in it, just to be on the safe side. It's always a good idea to pull out because there are some of the plastic that you drill into accumulates on the drill and makes it hard to actually see the progress. So how long you should drill, how far, there isn't a good recipe, but when you get to the point where you see that, let me just try to put it this way. Let's try to get it into focus. All right, here we have some focus. So what I want to point out is that here there is this bright spot, which means that the drill is about to burst through the plastic, and that's where you stop. You don't want to drill further because you'll just make a hole. Now, another way of checking if the hole is big enough is to use paper clips. It's called spinacha. That's the Polish word for paper clip. It sounds like spinach in English, but it is what it is. So you can just bend it, try and dry fit it. Yeah, fits quite well. So onto the other one. But actually, now that we have it, we can again pre-measure it because we want to get the best angle. So I'm just looking, at this point I'm beginning to kind of conceptualize how I want. It's a lot of theory today, right? A lot of my thinking that goes into this obvious stage of just putting the miniature together and gluing it on the base, which apparently isn't that obvious. Because look, guys, if I put it from this side, there are those drums that are floating behind him, and I want them to be like the focal point. And if I have those elaborate signs on the base behind him, they kind of take away the focus from the bell, from those drums that are floating behind him. So what I'll do, I'll just switch the sides so that later on the front is dark because his skin is bright red. The pants will be probably black, maybe some orange for the clothes, and these glowy symbols will just complement nicely the part which consists of pretty large areas of unified color, like the red part, the black part, and then we have the contrast of this runes, and then behind we will see, I will put the drums floating with this magical effect that would be similar to the glow that we have on the base. And that's my coffee. So what I do now is I just try to look for a good place to start drilling. But before I actually do it, I might as well drill into the base already. So I'll just try to put him in a way that will not block the visibility of interesting parts. I can also do one more thing. I can do something easier. I can just take another 40mm base and see on which one he fits better. And I think that these will be better choices because there is more of a flat surface on this one than on the other one. So this one looks pretty good. And this one looks, I think, even better. Yeah, I'll just go with this one. So he'll just fit right in here. And again, those runic ornaments will be towards the front. So now I want to find a way where the sandal will touch the base. So I will just hold it in place, make sure that it's lined up nicely, and I'll take my hobby knife and look for the space, the exact spot which is beneath the hole I drilled. Now I can take away the miniature, it's in here, and I can just again mark it and drill into it. So I'll just drill into the base. I mean, it seems like I'm overcomplicating it, but guys, trust me, once you get the hang of it, you'll be doing it in no time. It will become just fast and efficient over time. It just takes a while to get used to it. Sometimes you need to get it wrong. And also, you will notice that I'm holding my finger right beneath where the drill is, which means that once I get through, I won't drill through it completely because I will feel the resin beginning to rise under my finger, but that's actually deep enough. You don't need to go very deep. So what I'm doing now, I'll just put it in here, use another tool to just clip off the excess. And I have the first pin. I can now dry fit the rest of the miniature. You see it's still a bit too long, so I need to shorten it by roughly half. And yes, still like half a millimeter too long. And that's going to be just fine now, I think. Yeah, just fine. So now the second one. And for the second one, again, I will leave the pin in the base for now. And I will drill the second hole. And you know, I always drill holes in the feet of the miniatures that I assemble when I put them on resin bases, because it's not a material that attaches to one another that well. Plastic just doesn't hold up that well when you glue it to resin and to metal. So you want to take extra measures to make sure that your miniature holds firmly. So again, that seems like it might seem excessive, it might seem like I'm overcomplicating the process, but it's like extra investment into the safety of your miniature. All you're assembling, but I'm sure you're assembling something super secret and amazing, and also that we'll see it very soon, or not very soon. But I'm glad that you're also doing something nice. Well, it's part of your job, of course, but I hope you're enjoying it. And you see, I'm observing. So when I'm drilling through the bottom, I already see a brighter spot emerging around the side of the right ankle. So I'm pulling out, rotating and pulling out just to stay extra safe. And now I will try to figure out, I mean, I know how to figure it out, but I will figure out the best optimal spot for gluing the other foot. And it will be roughly here. So again, I'm taking the tip of my hobby blade and kind of inserting it underneath the space, rotating it slightly, and drilling time now. Because what I'm aiming for is to have the miniature looking on the base as if it was designed with the miniature in mind. So I want it to be perfect. I want it to look like it fits perfectly on the base. So let's try to put the other foot here. And let's see if I made it right. We can always bend those pins. Now you see it fits pretty well. Yeah, looks good. Looks like it fits perfectly. And now the only small thing that I will do is I will use these to bend it slightly so that it naturally keeps it closer to the base. And that's a perfect fit now. So you see 20 minutes of just drilling and talking, but we have it. So I'm just carefully going to take it out now, and I will cut off the other miniatures, and I will show you how I do what seems obvious but is not that obvious. So I mentioned that there were 7 pieces in total. I will just put the instructions next to my, well, just so that I see it. All right. And I will start with, well, I will just go step by step. And nice thing that you see is that this bit contains miniatures for both the Monkey King and Rajin. And as you might notice that there are those small letters like K4, J7, K1. They all refer to specific names. They all refer to one specific miniature. So that means that, for example, this J7, this goes for the Monkey King because it's J, and K are all the miniatures for Rajin. So that means that for Mr. Rajin, we are. I'm just looking if I have the right head. Yeah, I have the right head. So we can just start cutting off the rest. And I'm using those smaller cutters. And I try to cut off close to the part that I will be gluing and cleaning and preparing for gluing, just to save myself some time and make it a bit easier. Then we have that was J6. We have other J's here. See, I never said it's easy. Yeah, that's why I was confused, because we have, instead of cutting off before checking, all those K letters refer to this guy, the Monkey King. So I will put it away for now. And you see, this is the other part of the box of the unassembled miniature, and that's the proper head because we have all those J's here. So let's just start cutting them off. Be just very careful and gentle when you cut off those elements which have tiny bits, like the hand here. So my thinking when I see a hand like that is to first of all cut off next to the bit which won't be invasive. So cut here, and then for the other bit where the fingers are very close and I could easily just by mistake damage it, I'm just twisting it. That's it. I think that the most challenging part to cut off were the throwing knives for Model 9 from Cooper's box, because they were so fragile that it was like, it was a challenge. So now we have, do we have everything? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 elements. I can check in the instructions on the word page, and we're ready to continue. So I will just go through them step by step. And let's start with this loincloth. So again, this is the part which I cut off of the sprue. So I'll just scrape it off, and then I'll start again scraping along the mold lines. And guys, this part is really super important, because later on you want to do your best, or get it painted or do your best, spend a lot of time probably painting the miniature. Now, if you don't clear those lines, they will ruin your paint job, because they will. The first thing that any person who's painted more than 10 miniatures and who knows some things about it will see, looking at your miniatures, will be those mold lines, and that will just beg the question of why on earth didn't you remove them? So here is my pro tip number one. Tear off a part of your tissue. I'm just dampening my finger and I'm making this paper brush. So what I'm doing now is I will use, this is the best glue which I use for gluing matte plastics together. It's from Revel. It's Contacta Professional. It's got needle on at the end of it, so application is super easy. You just want to be gentle, gently squeeze it. You can, if nothing is coming out, then it means that it can be clogged. So fortunately we have a way of handling that. And this should be probably done in ventilated space. But if you are doing a stream, you don't want to spend time going outside and interrupting the stream. That's why I will just do it in here. So what you do is you take and you just burn. There's a little bit of smoke. Just take a lighter and it clears, because the paint can dry inside the needle. And when it dries, it clogs the whole thing and it just won't work. And now you apply gentle pressure and the glue starts coming out easily. So you put some of it on the part where you see the indentations. And that's it. And you see what this glue does. And I will show you the use of my paper brush in a second. But what this glue in particular does, and that's why it's important to be very gentle while using it, is that it very slightly melts the plastic around the connecting points, which means that the fit will be seamless if done right. Well, if done right, by done right I mean done carefully and slowly and with pre-measuring dry fitting. So this now time to prepare his left arm, and again removing those lines from all angles. And I will start, this is like the full arm, and I will now assemble the left forearm, because it's just the forearm, and you see there is another spot that we need to, another thing that we need to glue to it. So I'm just carefully scraping off any of those unnecessary lines. And normally it just takes me much faster. I do it super fast, but I'm trying to first of all keep it close to the camera so that you see what I'm actually doing. And I'm talking a lot. And I just normally, when I assemble the miniature, what I do, I listen to podcasts. And guess what the podcasts are about? Mostly Malifaux podcasts. There are quite a few of them. I listen to them regularly. Just go to any piece of software that you use for listening to podcasts, type Malifaux, and you'll find there are quite a few of them. Quite a few of active ones, which is even more important. So I'll just go with the flow and clear all the lines from other elements, because why not? This is the plastic that's quite hard, so you can be pretty fast with it, but don't be too fast, because you don't want to break anything. And when the some of the beads are thin, just apply very, very light pressure. You don't want to press hard against them. You want to be gentle. And this bead will, I think I'll glue this one as the last bead, because this goes towards the back. Yeah, there is this section. You see that those are those those are those connecting points that will go in here. And I can leave it as the last because I want to put the other elements first. So let's do the form. Let's dry fit first. So this goes in here. And I'm looking at the instructions and try to not to lose the beats. All the times that I spent a lot of time looking for a bit that landed on the ground. Wow, quite many times it happened. So we just want to get the right angle for the bit that I'm attaching, and this is how it fits. Okay, so dry fitting is important. Now we can glue it. So I'm just giving a drop of glue to the part. And now since I know how it should be positioned now, because I dry fitted it, I can put it together. Oops. And this partly melts the plastic before it solidifies, which gives me, well, a few seconds at least, several seconds for some small tweaks or adjustments if I need them. And I can now adjust. And you see, the reason I'm holding the picture in front of me is also quite important, because I then get to see how it should fit. I think I will just, okay, this actually goes in here, so this part should be assembled first, and this magical effect will be assembled later. So now I'll use my paper brush. So you see I've poured more glue than it's necessary, and I'm using my, well, I call it paper brush, to kind of spread it around evenly. And now I can attach this bit, okay, because this one goes to the hand, not to the forearm. So you see I made a mistake. I adjust it, I correct it, and I can continue. Now it's done correctly. And again, if I see a gap, I just add extra glue, move it, because I mentioned that I have those several seconds just to make those small adjustments. If there is too much glue, I just use this, what I refer to as my paper brush, and it's done. Time for the other arm now. Maybe I'll attach the head now. The head looks pretty impressive. Well, see, I didn't even dry fit it because I'm feeling so confident now. And it fits perfectly. It's just a perfect fit. I mean, the design of Malifor miniatures is pretty phenomenal. That's why oftentimes I just go with the flow and I don't dry fit, to be honest. If I do a batch of miniatures, I just don't feel like I need to do it, because 99% of time everything will fit together perfectly and seamlessly. So now the left forearm. Let's make sure to dry fit it. Hey, Doc. Hello, hello. Nice seeing you. Hope all is well. So that's the left arm. And again, I've applied too much of the glue because it just flows over the area which I assembled. And I will use a piece of paper to just kind of spread it around and create this seamless connection. So we have the main body ready. And now I can move on to those bells behind him, and then I will attach him to the base. Not bells, but drums, rather, maddening drums. Yep. So I'm just cutting off, first of all, the bits which are like the residue of the frame to which they were attached. And I'm just gently sculpting them off. And it takes some practice. You need to hurt yourself a few times with the knife, probably, before you get to feel perfectly confident with it. And here as well. And here. And now I'll just scrape off the mold lines. That's the familiar sound. And there are actually, let me show you, there is this specialist tool for removing mold lines. I have it somewhere in here. Let me just find it. But to be honest, I never use it. And I will tell you why in a second. I just need to get to it. You see, I honestly never use it. That's why it's stuck there, because it's just too thick for comfortable use. Now I'm not even going to bother coming to the camera with it because it's just cumbersome and not really needed. So continuing with the preparation. Just making sure that all those mold lines are gone before I assemble it. And then I need to look at it also from the inside. So there is a mold line in here and around the whole thing from the center. And here and here. Now, actually, you know what I'll do? I'll assemble him first. I'll attach him to the base. It's soft at the point where it's connected to begin with, but then it solidifies. So I've made sure that these pins fit perfectly, and now I'm switching to a stronger glue, which is cyanoacrylate adhesive, so which is much stronger. And what I do is I just typically what I will do, I'll just leave a drop on my workstation, which is a replaceable piece of paper, dip the tip of the pin inside in it, push it in, do the same with the other bit, push it in, and I will typically also apply some to the elements which will be connected to the base. So those pieces of sandal that actually touch the base. And I'm ready for attaching it. Just being cautious. Something glued to that, we don't want it. And it's easy to literally glue yourself to the miniature at times if you're not being careful. All right, and now I will show you guys one more trick, because sometimes it can take a while before the glue solidifies. So I can also always add a drop here. and then again remove it with my brush. And what I do to just speed up the process, it works differently, yeah, but what I do here is that it will take a few minutes to solidify. So I use this super glue activator and spray lightly on it, and it solidifies in a matter of seconds now. Just a few seconds and it's attached. So that's one way of making it faster, less painful, and less problematic. And now that I have it attached to the base, I can attach the drums. And there is this nice connecting point here. So again, I will dry fit, make sure that it fits perfectly, that I remove any additional material of additional bits of plastic that make the part imperfect, and it will be easier just to attach it now. And again, I've applied a little bit too much of Revel Contacta glue, because now when I push it in, the excess of glue flows over the connecting points and creates the seamless fit between the elements that I've attached and the main body. So it's a smart way of, otherwise you might want to use some modeling putty like green stuff or something along these lines, and it's just additional effort. And what happens when this activator heats the glue, it turns it white straight away, and you see that it's connected. So there we have it. First miniature is connected. First 43 minutes, awful lot of time, but I think that it's just goes to show that if you need to be thorough and meticulous, then you need to take your time. And we have him on this lovely base. I will be attaching base stickers to the bottom. Actually, I should have some handy. I have only 50mm next to me, and I don't want to get up from my desk now, but there he is. Absolutely spectacular miniature. I mean, just look at it. Isn't it amazing? Can you name any other game where you have such beautiful miniatures? Maybe there are, but I don't know them. Right, time to move to the Monkey King, because our Regine is ready. I will actually take the magnets, the magnet stickers. Let me just dive for them. Oh, and that's what happens when you move too fast. I just took the cable with me. But no miniatures were hurt in the process. It just wrapped itself around the chair I was sitting on, and no damage done. Everything is good. Let me just put this one just so that you guys can see it while I move to get the sticker. Okay, this is for 15mm, and this will be for 40mm, I believe. Yep. So there are two approaches that you can take for adding magnets, and this is how I choose to make sure that my miniatures are safe. So I'll show you how I did it with the miniature that I painted last week, which is my standard approach. Toddler book, interesting. So I add neodymium magnets and I just drill holes into the base and glue them. And this way the miniature just is super safe when it's in my metal case. And that makes it resilient to any, it just doesn't break. But another way is just using adhesive stickers, self-adhesive stickers. So this is how they look like. And I have a bunch of them now. As you can see, quite a few of them for 40 millimeter, for 30 millimeter, and 50 millimeter. But let's just start with one 40 millimeter will do for now. I will just set aside 130 and 150 millimeter. And let's start with 40 millimeter. And what I'll do first is make sure that it fits. And theoretically, the glue that's here should hold it in place. But just to be on the safe side, I just add a little bit of stronger glue, and that way I know that it won't come off of it. I just press it, make sure that it's in the right position. See, it's not perfect. It's like 38 millimeter, or the base might be 41 millimeter. You just want to make sure that it's evenly attached. And that way, when I take my magnetic holder for painting miniatures, like this one, it will hold firm. That works. It's not the strongest option, but it's a pretty decent option. Oh, he appreciates beauty for sure. Can just do some fine adjustments, and yeah, and that's the first one for today. And we have a few more to go. Well, at least one more, at least two more, I think. Okie dokie. Now let's move with the Monkey King. And again, I will start with let's get to the bottom of it. And again, I'm having at first a look at the assembly instructions on the word page. And first of all, I want to identify where the feet are, because I will likely be drilling a hole in them again, just to make sure that it fits perfectly to the 30 millimeter resin base. And again, I will take a look at the 3D render. So we see that at the bottom of it, there is this like magical effect. And that's a good point of reference. So I'll start by cutting it off. So this bit and the feet. There's one. See the feet of Monkey King, obviously they resemble hands. That's why you need to be careful. You don't want to glue his feet where the hands already are. So I'll just scrape it off. Again, move gently along those lines. And there is this trend that we've seen since, I think, ever since Malifaux Burns, that more and more miniatures are designed in a way that there is some kind of magical effect active around them. And this is a good example that you have this character of Monkey King, which is surrounded by some kind of magic acting where he lands. Which is interesting because he has this ability that he doesn't really die when you kill him. So he probably appears in a flash of light or some kind of other fabulous magical effect when he reappears. Again, just being careful and selective, moving the blade of the knife, moving the blade very slowly and carefully. I think that in order to do it right, we need to assemble it with the connected to the main body, because we don't want to connect his feet separately to this magical effect that will form part of the base. We want the whole thing. So in that case, I won't be drilling holes in his feet straight away, because these will be soft before the glue solidifies. So again, just moving it gently and slowly with full attention to where I'm holding it and how I'm holding it. This guy is also wearing a fancy necklace, just like Raijin. I think Raijin or Map will be the first that I will paint from this batch, because I like these miniatures the most. They appeal to me visually. And those miniatures are not for my own collection. I'm painting them as part of a commission for another person, but I felt very happy when I was asked to paint them, because I'm not going to play them, I'm not going to change factions, and besides, changing faction is not just a matter of painting a few miniatures from one box. You need to paint buy a number of them, and commit to learning to understand them. And I do not have the mental capacity and time for that, really. So I just have to live with the fact that there are many other beautiful Malifaux miniatures that I will just paint, but I won't get to play with them. And now let's attach those feet. So this one goes here. Again, dry fitting before I glue, quite important. And the other goes here. And I just want to make sure that I know where the perfect fit is. And I will just have a quick look at the model itself and the 3D render. So that's how it should look. That fits. And I don't want to, start dry fitting it while I'm in the process, because by then it's already too late. If you make a mistake, then it's too late. If you glue it at the wrong angle, then you're in trouble, because you're not going to be able to really see how it should have been put together. So better to be safe than sorry. Again, adding a little bit too much of it, because that way when I actually press the part, I can just use my paper brush and spread the excess of the glue. And this magical effect, this goes in here. Hope it's not as bad as Pandora's Pit. No, I think it just goes in here. But yeah, it goes in here. It fits quite well, but I will just attach it a bit later once the glue starts holding firm, and I can now cut away the rest of the miniature. And in the meanwhile, I can show you guys something funny that I've been working on recently. It's a fun project. Those are the colorful Nephilim. I was asked to paint Nakima's keyword in this fancy, colorful style, which is slightly cartoonish, which is completely different than I would paint myself. Here is this green happy cover Nephilim, which is almost complete. Just a few details left. And this is the Nightmare version of Nekima. Pretty colorful. But still the bond beads are and the metallics are not done. I'm doing them as non-metallic metal, which always takes a bit more time. But something that really stands out to me and I want to share with you guys is how this miniature, which is normally pretty gruesome to look at, looks like painted in this way. Makes it look like an entirely different model. Okay, now it's in proper focus. So that's the Noxious Nephilim. I think that those colors are quite interesting, and they seem to work quite well on the fishy guys, like this one here. This is the mature Nephilim, and the guy who asked me to paint them, he wanted them as green, bright, vivid green as main color, and he wanted some yellow and some red. So that's what I came up with. And yeah, and they are pretty colorful for sure. So it's been a fun exercise because it's like, stepping out of my comfort zone, really. I don't normally paint with such bright colors. I just tend to have them toned down, more gritty. But yeah, let's get back to cutting. Now we have the tail and the book and a few other bits. And the tail and book goes together. These two elements go together, so I'll just get them out of the sprues now. I just want to make sure that I remove all of the excess. And being very careful around those more fragile elements. Although the plastic that the miniatures, that the word models is made of, is pretty strong, and you really need to push on it to make a break. So yes, be gentle, but don't worry about pushing against it slightly. It won't break if you apply the pressure lightly and gradually. Now let's see, where is the connecting part for the book. Of course, this is the tail, so this goes to the back here. Yes, you can even see those tiny bits that directly show you how it is connected. So when you dry feed those elements, and I really urge you to guys really dry feed those, because otherwise you can make a mistake, and if you apply glue onto different pieces before dry feeding, then any kind of mistake you make will be way more impactful. And now let's look at the book, how it is attached. And again, we're looking for points of reference. So the bookmark is floating upwards, and I think this bit goes in here somewhere. Yes, there is you see, there it is. That's how it should fit. And I will assemble it in a second. You see, there is this tiny bit that's like protruding element, and there is this kind of indentation where you have to fit it in. Yep. that's where it goes. And that's where we'll spend a little bit of time just making sure that it's dry before I move on. So when I have an element like that, I want to first assemble those two elements before I attach them to the main body. But now that it's drying, I can actually put it aside. And cut off the rest, which is now just the hand and the head. So I also wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the last tournament I took part in, which happened last Saturday in Warsaw. We had a really solid turnout. We had 14 people from 3 different cities. Some people traveling more than 300 kilometers to get to the tournament, which is always a great thing. And you know, it was a very relaxing, nice atmosphere. I mean, we have like a few, like 3, 4 really excellent players. So typically we know that, okay, these guys are likely going to take top spot unless they bump into one another early on and kind of put one another out of position in the top. And yeah, that was no exception this time. I played 3 games, all 3 games with Castor. I played 1 game with Castor 1. My first game, which was Carve a Path, which is for me still continues to be the most challenging strategy. And I thought that with Castor 1 I could have those out of activation activations, but I didn't utilize them properly. I mean, I'm still baffled by how to really run Castor 1 properly. What I find challenging with him is that he doesn't move around as easily and freely as Castor 2, especially due to the fact that he doesn't move those extra 2 inches forward when he's hit by a friendly model. And it's something that can put Castor 2 way up front. So let's now put the head. I will glue the head and the arm. First I will glue the head, and again I will dry fit it first, making sure I get it at the right spot. And it fits so perfectly well. You just need to be careful. You see there is this indentation and there is this extra protruding element, and if you find these two, then you're good to go. And again, I'm applying the glue in slight excess, slightly more than it's needed, because then the excess will flow over. And now the arm. I should have dry fitted. I should have put it first to dry fit it, because now I need to make sure that any excess plastic needs to be really removed before I attach it. But this goes together so smoothly and well that it's not really a problem. And the tail goes in now, because this has become more firm. So we can put the tail. Oops, that's a bit tricky. But You just need to position it properly, hold it for a few seconds in place to make sure that the glue begins to solidify. Once it starts, you can just move on to other elements. So we have our Monkey King pretty much ready now. I just need to make sure that the tail is positioned in proper way. And sometimes you can use the knife or any tool that you have handy to press. And you see, I will just add a small dot between the tail and the back of this and the side of thigh, just to make sure that it holds extra firmly. And there is the Monkey King. Hey, Spilled Paint Bud. Good Tuesday to you as well. Thank you for dropping by. We're just assembling the miniatures today, and I'm sharing all the practicalities and best practices that I've developed in this area, which might seem trivial, but hopefully things that I've learned and got used to doing over time. Maybe some of you will make use of it as well and use my experiences. And again, this is all about careful observations where these beads should fit well. Just holding it for a second so that it attaches well, and then I will just put it on flat surface to make sure that it stays the way it's intended to stay. Yep, that's perfect now, and it's good to just press it against flat surface, make sure that it's attached properly. It looks like there is some kind of energy coming out of the back of his tail. Yeah, it is like magical tail. So those are two miniatures for now. And before I attach the monkey guy onto his base, I will just give it a second to dry, maybe a couple of minutes. And maybe I could even use the tip of his staff to connect him to the base. For that I will just again take a few of those 30mm bases and just see to which one he seems to be matching nicely. Okay, let's start with this one. I think this one will, at first glance, seems like a decent choice. And since I do not really have that much space to pin this guy here, maybe I can actually look through other options before I connect him. Alright, this might be even better. Just trying to find the right angle. Because ideally I would want some difference in height in two sections on the base. Maybe this one will be even better for that, because there is this difference. Yeah, and then I can attach him to two connecting points, which will be just fine. That's what I will do. So I will now use again the strong glue. See how he fits. Again, dry fit him. Part of it will be attached to the upper section, part of it to the lower. And I will close the glue. Make sure you don't inhale it, because it can be toxic and can be even dangerous to really inhale it. And I think it fits pretty well now. And while the glue is drying, I will already speed up the process by spraying magic super glue activator. And it's already beginning to settle nicely. And this smells bad already. It's an unpleasant smell, but we do a lot for the sake of hobby, right? Just trying not to inhale it too much. And this kind of magical effect, if I just put some of the excess of glue on top of it, it will create this nice automatic transition. And again, using my paper brush, and I can give one more touch of activator. And this guy will hold firmly now. See, he's holding up really strongly now. Yeah, a lot of movement, but now let's put the sticker on the base, the magnetic sticker. And again, I'm applying some extra glue. Making sure that it fits as well as it can, because it's not perfect 30mm, but it's close enough. And that should do it for this guy. So that's the second miniature assembled. Let's see how it fits. Yeah, he fits onto the magnetic base quite well. And let me show you guys how amazing this miniature is. So nicely detailed. I mean, it's like there's so much going here. We have dynamic pose, we have this magical tail which is lifting a book, and we have some like spell-like effects coming from beneath his feet. I'm just adding a small drop of glue to the back around the tail. And we can move on to the third model for today. So this guy is quite impressive as well. All right, let's go with the third guy, which is the story of Fan Yong. And this is this boy who's riding a steed that's riding out of a book. Isn't that awesome? It is. So let's start with the big part, with the book and the horse, because the horse is made of two halves. So we want to assemble the largest bit first before we tackle the rider, because the rider consists of several pieces, unlike the horse and the book, which form part of the base as well. and it's not that much on them actually. And again, I will have a look at the artwork. I will have a look at the assembly guide. And the good thing I did that, because I noticed that there is a bit of, you see, like if I even if I drive it, that there will be part of the horse's mane missing from the front. So we want it here, and this is the part of horse's mane. And that's why you should always look. I mean, it's a fun challenge to try to, it's like solving an elaborate 3D puzzle, assembling the miniatures without the assembly guide. But it's just good to have it as a reference to see which pieces go together before you start assembling them. Because if you glue them together and you notice that you missed out on a part and you notice it too late, then it's going to be a problem for you. So the best way to avoid problems is just to do the due diligence and study the instructions first. So again, I'm starting with those larger bits of extra plastic which are left after the assembly process, because if I don't remove them, then nothing will really fit together well. And once these larger bits are removed, I just go to scrape off the mold lines, occasionally just scraping off another larger piece. And the horse's head and the mane, you just don't want to overdo it and be very gentle at well, especially around those areas which are thinner and smaller, like the mane on the horse. So that's the second part of the second half of the horsey. And again, there is this larger mold line going on here. I need to position my camera better, because otherwise you just see my hands and you don't see the miniature. I will try to keep it under control now. So I'm curious to know if is there anyone else in the stream who is working on something at the moment, and if yes, then what that is. Do you have a hobby project, or do you are you assembling miniatures now, or just chilling out after day at work? If you're in the US or in Europe, then hopefully you're off work and off the hook now, because it's like it's after 10 p.m. now. All right, now let's dry feed the horsey. See, those two halves fit perfectly and can later glue the tip of the mane. But before I start working on the rider, I want to have a good start on the horse, and it fits pretty well together. So let's just take the glue. You're assembling Lord Cooper screw and then Lady Justice screw, and then wow, quite impressive, quite a lot of miniatures that you were working on. I did paint two Cooper crews. I was actually painting two Cooper crews simultaneously, and my favorite miniatures from the whole set were those Vatagi huntsmen, because those are so full of character and so finely detailed. I mean, Cooper Model 9 also miniatures, clearly very well designed and great models, but those huntsmen, they are something else. Especially the big, bald, fat guy. He was my favorite. Now let's make sure we connect it well. And you have a nightmare box to paint for Jeff from Defective Dice as the prize for winning the internet beef with deck from corner case. Nice. Nice, that's fun. So I want to make sure that I get this one right. Because this is a bit puzzling how to actually do it. So my thinking is that I won't make a mistake if I don't put glue on it. Right? It's like Captain Obvious reporting to the base. But let's build up on that and do more. By more I mean let's make sure that I actually find the proper way and the proper angle. And looking at the instructions on the Word page actually can help out. Should help out. Will help out. I think that is the angle. Yeah, I think I see it now. Nice. Which nightmare box did the winner choose? So which one did Jeff choose? I would be curious to know. No, it's actually not from his, not part of the main. It's like energy coming out of his nose. Wow. It literally feels like a 3D puzzle. And not an easy one, to be sure. This is actually a tricky bit, but I'll figure it out. I just need to look at the reference, understand, and absorb it somehow. Okay, I think I'm getting closer to that. Wow, this is a tricky one. Because there is like this trace on the head where it should be connected. I think I think I have it. Alright, maybe it's like this. Maybe not. Maybe yes. That's a really, really tricky one. Oh, come on. Alright, I'm moving my hands. Moving my hands and putting it. Alright, so I'm a bit struggling with this part. You see, this is the part, like those fumes coming out of the snout. And I'm looking at the instructions, and of course they are okay. Maybe they go. Does it go inside? Should I have put it inside before I assembled it? I can still open it up slightly. Just notice there is a blob here that I need to cut off. Maybe it goes inside. Because this looks like there is this bit that should fit in somewhere. There is a shallow recess. That part is annoying. Yeah. Tell me about it. Okay, shallow recess. It's on the tip here. I don't want to assemble it wrongly. I can always leave it for a bit later, but I would rather... Okay, let's see. This is a tricky part. No, this one should probably go. Look at me being defeated by this mysterious tiny piece. I mean, the miniature would look good without it, but we don't want to do part of the assembly. I want to do it completely and fully. You see, it's like you need to rotate it, twist it around a few times, and then it clicks. But I just haven't gotten to the point where it clicks for me. Okay, I think I'm getting somewhere. This looks like it could be... I think it might be... No. I might see it. Maybe that's the bit where it comes together. No. This is tricky. It should be across the nose. Sending a Discord message for reference. All right. I'll take a Discord message for reference. Across the nose. Across the nose. That's a good hint. Okay. Getting somewhere. You see, if I assemble it correctly during the stream, then I will save the challenge for a number of people who would be tackling this one later on. So this one goes... Oh. Well, while I'm figuring it out, I might just switch to something else, but it's, it just drives me mad that I can't seem to figure out the right way of putting it together. Probably it's just in front of me, and I might have put it in the right position already. But let's just put it aside for the time being. Let's just do something else. And by something else, I mean let's start working on the rider. We are halfway through the stream, and I've assembled 2 miniatures. I will assemble more. Maybe the next one will be map. because it's my favorite. Although not on the table. On the table, it's super annoying and unpleasant, but visually, it's pretty spectacular. So I think that the part with this is the part of the rider that's pretty obvious. So let's remove those small blinds and put him on the horse's back. There is some kind of legend. I think it's like a legend about a boy warrior who never became old, or who was just always a boy. I'm not good with this lore bit here, because it's inspired clearly by some Eastern legends. So might be just good idea to Google it up if you're interested. I mean, I've assembled like hundreds of models for miniatures, really, and it just comes with practice. But there are still sometimes, you get to the point where you feel like, okay, this bit, where does it go? Like my biggest challenge, I have never assembled Yan Lo, so I have never had the pleasure of assembling his beard. But I would say that for me, the most challenging miniature to ever assemble, or the most challenging part of miniature, was Abuela's pipe, because that thing is, I still have nightmares. All right, I will have a look at Discord in a second, where Kim was kind to send me some reference pictures, but before that I will just put the rider on the horse. And this comes together nicely. And let's see those images. I see. There is a diagonal recess. So it goes. Okay, now I just need to find a way to put it together. That's a bit of a challenge, but I'll figure it out. I will. And this is like in here. I can still pry it open if I want to, if I need to. Okay. I almost have it. I almost got it. It's so annoying. Maybe I'm just tired, and that's why I don't see it as quickly as I should be noticing it. Okay, I think I'm onto something now. Oh yeah, there was this one piece of chain in 33 that's pretty hard to wrap your mind around. So I think this bit goes in here somewhere. Because if this goes, yeah, I think that might be it. No. That's not it. Because the main reason I'm just so okay. Find it so challenging is that this should be, so if this goes in here, let's just try to pry it open a little bit. should be this indentation, which I managed to already put together. Whoops. All right, and now I have it open again. Yeah, the mic cape of motorcycles is pretty intimidating too. Okay, I think I have it. Is it it? Is this it? No. Okay, I might be getting it now. I think that's it. I think that's how it should fit. Because this goes around the nose. Yes, I got it. Victory achieved. Now I just need to put glue on it. Alright, I have it. Thank you, Kimberly, for sending a reference picture. That helped a ton. It's actually super obvious and simple once you put it the right way. Yeah, it just fits perfectly, you see? So those are the flames around the horse's mouth. Success, yes! All it took was like 10 minutes of or more of back and forth. Okay, and that's how it should. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. Nice and easy. It looks absolutely obvious and clear when I look at it now. But I needed to struggle a little bit. Maybe I just made it a challenge for myself unnecessarily because it wasn't really that bad. So while that bit is gluing, let's put the front legs together. These are easy and come together nicely. Yeah, but that was a hard fought battle. So now cleaning the leg. And the other one. See, but I still feel over the moon that I was able to overcome this major challenge. Felt like it took forever. But I got there eventually. So I should be done with this guy before the end of the second hour of the stream, and then I will open up the core box and put something out. So which miniature from the story box would you like me to assemble next? I can assemble any, just name it, and I will take it. I would probably go for map, but I can do whatever pops up in the chat first. So those legs go together. And yeah, clearly they go together. There's one and there's another one. This is actually pretty obvious for a change. I mean, the other one was pretty simple. I just locked myself out of it for a few minutes. So those are the front legs, pretty nice. They come together nice and easy. Now let's do the cloak. And I had just 3 pieces actually left on this guy. And then I'll move on to another one. And the cloak. So those are the 3 pieces that I need to assemble now. So let's start with the cloak. I'd like to see some of the bookkeepers assemble. If that's the core box you're talking about. Alright, I'll assemble that. There you go, it's built paint pot. So bookkeepers are up next. I don't know which box they're in, but I'm sure have it, because I have all the boxes from the keyword, even the one with Damien the second. So I will assemble it. I mean them next. But now let's just finish this guy. Let's just make sure that I remove the excess around the neck where it should be. And yeah, the bookkeepers look absolutely amazing. I actually played one game against this keyword, but that was a 5th game of a 2-day tournament. And at that point, I had 2 wins and 2 losses. And I saw them for the first time in a pretty complex mix of schemes and strategy. And it was turf war, and the strategies were not really killy. I think that there should be just killy strategies for game 5, so that you don't have to, your brain is pretty much inactive. But that's a fair request, right? Make the weather different. I don't see a problem. Now those are the bamboo spears. This will be fun to paint, like some kind of greenish shade of brown. And the arm, and this guy will be ready in a second. So that will be the 3rd miniature in the stream. And there's my water. I just felt dehydrated. All right, just three pieces, and this guy is done. So let's start maybe with the arm. You see, that's the part which I never really I have never really done in the stream, and goes to show that you still need your full attention, even to some such basic thing as just putting the pieces of a miniature together. So now the code goes first, for sure. Let's dry fit it. Let's not rush in. Let's make sure that yeah, it fits perfectly. It's just a amazingly smooth fit. And the neck fits perfectly in here. Yes, that's a very, very good fit. So let's now try to put him on the base to see how he fits on a 50 millimeter. I think I have just, okay, I have two 50 millimeter ones. They are quite similar. Let's say, let's try this one. I think he might fit well here or here. Yeah, I think here will be nice. So let's just put at least one pin here. Just think it will be safer to have at least one pin for this guy. And it is a hot October. It's actually pretty scary to look at how the temperatures are not what they should be. I mean, it's, well, not October yet. It's still September, but it is way too hot. Okay, let's see. Maybe this angle. I think this angle works, or because I still have map. You know, so what I'll do, I think I will first try on which base does map fit better, just to make sure I then don't have to readjust them when they are glued, because I want to make sure that map, which is another model on 50 millimeter base that comes in the core box, and he will probably fit the flatter one better. I mean, I'm pretty sure that he will fit the flat one better, so I can just put this guy on this base. Yeah, I'll put him here. The book fits into this space quite well, and yeah, let's just go with it. I think I will put this pin here, somewhere in here. Let's just drill a small hole, and then I can move on to the bookkeepers. But Raijin is by far my favorite. I mean, the moment I saw, I think it was previewed in one of those Waldo's Weekly. And the moment I saw that miniature, I knew that I am going to paint this one. So when I was asked if I would take a commission of this keyword, then I knew, all right, I'm taking it for sure. All right, so there's the pin fits perfectly, and we can put it together. And that will be the third miniature. So the contents of Legendary Stories box. All of them. All of the Legendary Stories. Okay. Let's just put this one here. And maybe not glue myself to the base in the process. All right. And I can just spray real quick. So that's the story of Yong. So let's just do a quick wrap up. I think it's been changing 30 degrees Fahrenheit in a day. Oh yeah, it can bother the sinuses. I feel for you. It's awful when you have issues with sinuses. So really hope it stabilizes for you there. So that's the story of Regine. That's the first one I assembled. It's just spectacular. I mean, let's just face it, it's pure awesomeness. This one is the story of Fan Yong. I'm sure you will see them on the table because they don't. Not only do they look cool, but they are also great on the table. I mean, they are. I played one game against Lin Li 2, and she felt like a Swiss scissor knife. How do you call it? I mean, she seemed like a jack of all trades. So I think that those are super strong. Down the street from World HQ. Well, you're lucky. So this is the Sun Wukong, so the Monkey King. Another beautiful, beautiful miniature. And last but not least, this is our knight. I mean, it's actually quite small, but then there is this. It's supposed to represent a child on a horse, I believe. Oh, so the last thing I'll do is I will glue the magnet to the base. I'm just adding some super glue to make sure that it stays together. Alright, and that's the third miniature, and this will be, let's see how it fits, if it works. See, that's why I put magnets on it, because then when I work, I paint them using my metal holders. Alright, so that's the third one. So now, I ask for your input, and Field Paint Pot suggested the bookkeepers, and they actually come in the core box. So I'm just actually doing the live unboxing. So which one would you like me to do? This guy, the middle one on the right. I mean, personally, I would probably choose the one on the right because it seemed the most fun to paint, but I'll go with whichever you decide I should assemble first. Right, for sure. Yeah. You see, great minds think alike. Let's go with that guy on the right. Let's just get these out of the way. I don't need the cards. I mean, the cards are neat, but I don't use them really. You know, I've ever since the app was. I mean, I switched to the app completely at the beginning of early on into the second edition. I think around. I actually started playing around Gaining Grounds 2. I wasn't playing 4th edition initially. Things were happening. I had 2 small kids at home back then, so that wasn't easy and obvious to find time. But now, okay, so let me give you an overview of what's in the box. Look at this cute jade rabbit. Isn't it cute? It's like this tiny rabbit. It's really small. Linley has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces. This is map. And guys, the details on its face are just incredible. I mean, and the texture of the fur, it's going to be such a joy to paint. The blue fur, And those cute little, what are they called? Those are the inhabitants of the Library of All Things that shine the way for Linley. I don't remember the name. There are the bookmarks or booklights, something like that. Yeah, the sculpt is pretty amazing. You see, that's why I think it's, yeah, I'm not painting in the stream, but I think that the content is interesting enough to make for a solid stream. And those are the three bookkeepers. So the third one would be, I think that, which one is the third? Let me have a look. The one who's holding book in its hand. Definitely not this one. Definitely not this one. So the middle one. Yeah, looks like it's the middle one. For sure? No. No, that's the one. That's the third one. That's the one on the right that you asked for. And he even has glasses. Alright, so I'm assembling this one. Let's do it. So I'll assemble this one, and then if I manage to, and I should, maybe map. That's the one I want to assemble. But let's first, you asked for a bookkeeper. I'm giving a bookkeeper, unless you really want me to assemble another bookkeeper before I run out of time. So let's see how these fit together. The fun thing is that, while I will be painting it, I might write some things on those pieces of paper. Some fun things, some silly things, some smart things. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Hey there, Mattia. Good seeing you. Yeah, maybe it's a good idea. It's just something different. And I thought that since this is my last stream, I would just do something that I haven't done before. And I was just thinking, the first miniature that I ever painted on a weird stream was a mature Nephilim. And it was more than 2 years ago. And it's been a great ride. I mean, my productivity has spiked up because I just I've also always focused on painting like one miniature per stream, or sometimes two miniatures, but doing something from base coat to close to final level, so it's close to final stage. And for the most part, I was able to do that. There were some streams which took more than one go to complete a miniature, like those iconic models, like iconic Titania. I think Yenza was also the one where I needed 2 streams to complete her. And I was just lucky to share those streams with you guys. And, for me, the best thing that happens is that, first of all, the activity in the chat and just being able to connect with you guys and just talk about what we all are here for, like, right, enjoying the hobby and just sharing this passion and talking about my best practices that I've developed, sharing all my hobby secrets, hobby shortcuts, if I may call them this way, and at the same time just enjoying being part of this wonderful international community. And actually, the highest praise I ever received was, I think it might have been in the last stream, where I think Jeff from Defective Dice said that one of his gaming buddies painted his whole keyword using my videos as reference. And that's what it's all about, right? Sharing so that other people can maybe even get inspired and paint their own miniatures using some of the techniques that they've picked on those streams. And the nice thing is that I'm not the only streamer who's been putting their videos here. There are 3 more currently. We started with more than 4, but over time the numbers dwindled. And as we're entering this final week of streams, there are 4 artists with different styles, different approach, but same passion. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, right? The passion for the hobby. Now, this is something that you don't see in the artwork, is that these, and I'm going to use the plastic instructions. Because you see the picture from the side, and you don't see that those are actually quite big chunks of plastic that you need to put together. All right, this will be fun. Okay. So looking at the picture, and this guy has a nice hat as well. And so this is the upper part or lower part, and there's a part that goes in between. Yeah, look. I mean, look at this guy. This just fits like a 3D puzzle. That's just a perfect seamless fit. That's incredible. I mean, I've been painting and assembling the weird plastic miniatures ever since the first box was released. And actually, there were 2 boxes first released, though some of you might not have been around this part of the hobby. So the first 2 boxes were Lucas McCabe and Lynch with this cute version of Huggy. And over time, and they were good. They were good, but they were a bit static, they were a bit bulky. But now what Word is doing with the plastics is just spectacular. Those are like finely detailed 3D puzzles which just continue to impress me. Yeah, and I've never hidden the fact that I'm a fanboy. I mean, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't one, right? So this is part of the third bookkeeper. Let's allow it to hold together tightly, and while the glue is solidifying, I will just cut out the rest of the bookkeeper. I think I will paint their suits in some kind of fancy colors, maybe like bright purple. What does it look like in the artwork? I don't see the artwork now, but I think I will do some vivid colors, maybe yellow. Either way, it will be a bright and vibrant color. So especially be careful when you remove those mold lines on areas like hats, because you don't want to leave the traces of the movement of hobby knife there. So just very gently scrape off the excess of plastic from the top of the hat. It's essentially like shaving, right? You don't want to hurt yourself when you shave your face, and you don't want to hurt your minis when you scrape off the excess. It's a nice top hat. I mean, it's like a fedora hat. And again, light movements without applying too much pressure. We don't want to cut off too much of the plastic, just the right amount. And now let's put the rest together. So the hat, shaving my minis. Yeah, shave your minis. Yeah, I think it's a, it's might not be the most adequate term to use that, but seems appropriate somehow. Especially when the miniature is bolt headed. And again, always when I apply glue, I apply in excess, then take a small piece of paper, it's like a rolled piece of tissue, and then gently spread it around the edges, because what it does is this glue slightly melts the plastic, so it makes sure that it looks just seamless. It looks like, like this kind of 3D printed miniature that just comes together nicely. Okay, now the right arm, and you see, if I look very closely, there is an indentation here and then protruding element here, so it's a clear mark where this should go. Right, clear mark, but still a tiny piece. This is a really nice miniature. Nothing really, some of those miniatures are not maybe the most pleasing to the eye because they are like those wild, crazy demons or demonic creatures. But these guys are just like a middle-aged gentleman tipping his fedora hat and just leading a happy life. I think it's a good way to describe it, that's for sure. Okay, and just looking at the box, let's just put the box in front of me so that I have it for clear reference. Wow, I should actually be holding the miniature upside down. Yeah, that's how it goes together. It comes together real nice. And the funny thing is that it then goes upside down. So let me just identify where the legs go. Yeah, there are clear indentations at the top. So now I'll just get a 30mm base. I mean, libraries are great places. Yeah, let's just put this one here. And again, I will just use the glue because there's just a solid surface that it will be attached to. So I'm gonna do the fun trick, which is I will spray activator on the part which will be attached to the base and then attach this one to the glue, because what it will do is will immediately cause the excess of glue to just solidify. See, it just doesn't even wouldn't even budge. It just holds firmly. Time to put the magnetic sticker to the bottom as well. Let's make sure that it's evenly placed and positioned properly. And let's glue this guy upside down. Oh, that is Lin Liu spy for sure. See, so you missed the beginning of the stream, and I started the assembly with Rajin, which is an absolutely stunningly phenomenal miniature. Then I assembled the story of Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, which is another of the phenomenal miniatures. And then I put together the story of Fan Yong, which is again quite spectacular. And then I started with the Bookkeeper 3, because he was the popular choice. And now I need to glue his feet to the upper section. And painting a miniature upside down, it's fun. I did that once with one of my cover Nephilims, whom I chose to position upside down, and it was a fun experience. The truth always wins. Hey, Spilled by Pod, thank you so much, and thank you for being a frequent guest here. It's always been fun having these chit chats about hobby and just life, weather, whatever that was. So that's the miniature that you chose for me to assemble, and good choice. I got to admit, good choice. Absolutely amazing miniature. Let me just hold him close to the camera for you before you go, and I'll see you around the internets. There are other places to bump into one another for sure. So that's Bookkeeper 3, also known as beautiful, beautiful miniature. So now I think that we have 45 minutes left in the stream. 4 miniatures have already been assembled. And I think I'll do map now, because that's the one I've been really looking forward to putting together. So let's put the rest in the box for now. And let me just cut off the part with map only. And also it's probably the most complex out of the whole, maybe out of the whole keyword. I mean, I haven't assembled them all yet, but before I even start, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces, which isn't that bad. I'll just open the assembly instructions. Map. Plastic build instructions. But guys, look at the texture of the fur on this guy. That is just amazing. And does he come on 50mm base? I believe so. I think he comes on 50mm. Let me just double check that to be sure. Map. There's probably a peculiar way to pronounce it. Yeah, 50mm base. Just to be on the safe side, it's always better to double check rather than put him on the wrong base. And yeah, that's the last stream. The streams have been around for 2 years. That's a long time for trying out different methods of interacting with community, with just having some kind of engaged involvement with the group of people who join regularly and those who happen here to drop here by chance. And it's not like we're disappearing, because we as painters, we will be here around. We will most definitely continue to paint Word miniatures, but we won't be doing them in Word streams. I mean, I'm thinking that I might just continue independent streams on Twitch at some point, because I just enjoy doing that. It keeps me focused, keeps me motivated to be more productive during those streams. And never say never. Who knows? Maybe one day the streams will be back in a different, improved format, because that's, I guess, at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. Like, taking a step back, reevaluating. Like, are we getting the most out of it? How can we get the more out of it? How can we make it more interactive, more interesting, more popular? And Word has a lot of things on their Word plates. Like, there is the Kickstarter for Vagrant Song, which I'm sure if Kimberly would be kind, you can add a link to that, because it's well worth checking out. And honestly, I haven't played this board game. I just read quite a few encouraging reviews, saw some videos, and the setting, the gameplay, everything looks top notch there. And Kickstarter is the best opportunity to get this game in the most, affordable version. And also there are some rewards which are gradually being opened as stretch goals. I'm even tempted to get it, but if my kids were older, I would probably already have it. But my kids are just learning to play board games, so maybe not this time, but I think at some point I will be getting this game for family game nights. So now I'm just moving, cleaning the larger pieces, because they are just pretty obvious how they come together. It's like this large teddy bear. And one more, and of course he's holding a piece of paper, because what else would he be holding? And this model is cute and lovely designed, and there is this amazing fur texture on it. But I mean, come on, it's so annoying in game. It's like soaks up damage, has the boring conversation aura, and it's like, feels like it's a chore to put down. I mean, I faced it only once, and it seemed like I would need to go to such lengths to remove it from the game that I just tried to ignore it. And I think that's the best course of action. Just try to, if you see map in one section of the board, then just go to another section, because he will annoy you. He will make your life miserable. And he soaks up damage quite well, being a henchman on top of some decent defensive tech that he has. More water. So again, I wouldn't say that we should feel sad. I mean, obviously, I would love to continue the streams, and who knows, maybe one day I will. I would certainly hope so. But I mean, let's just give Word time. You know, Word has this. I'm saying collectively as Word because there are, well, more people than our amazing Kim, who's always here. And Word has this tendency to just, improve things over time. And let's give them a chance to just take a step back and think, do they want it? Do they want it in this format, maybe in different format? We'll see. We'll just see. Okay, now this leg go. And again, when I'm assembling larger pieces, I'm putting some excessive amount of this glue around the edge so that when I assemble, it just pours over, goes over it. I can even further boost it by adding a little bit more. Because then it kind of melts the area around it and it becomes just more seamless. And you see, while I'm assembling, I haven't cut out everything from the spruce because I will be, while the glue is solidifying here, I can then move on to cutting of other elements. And there's and he's just this cute teddy bear, just sitting and enjoying a read. Absolutely amazing miniature. He reminds me of this large flying creature from Neverending Story. It was like this huge white dog, if my memory serves well. Okay, and yeah, and he will fit right in on this base. See, on a 50mm base, he looks good. Now the other book and those. And there is this light that he's holding, which sets into the recess on the back. You see, there are, even in those assembly instructions, if you go to Word page, then there are some even notes that you can use to your advantage while you work on the assembly. And there's like this nice stuff with light, so I might just play around with the idea of object source lighting on this guy. I mean, those are the colors that painting them would be like going slightly out of my comfort zone because I prefer this gritty, muted colors, and here I'll be going into the area of colorful and vivid palette. But that's again a good experience to paint something that you normally wouldn't be doing for yourself or for majority of any kind of miniature painting that you do. Now let's see how it fits on the back. Where does it go? Let's hope. Okay, this one goes in here. It's like attached to his. It's like part of his body, actually, this lamp. Nice. Oh yeah, I did play against Simon. Yeah, it was a fun game. Simon is such a nice guy, and at that point, my brain was fried. I mean, I found it extremely hard just to focus on anything. But yeah, I did play against the crew, and quite the experience, for sure, quite the experience. And these guys will be these funny little cute rabbit-like creatures will be fun to assemble because I mean fun to attach because they are all so similar to one another. But there are some helpful notes that help you navigate the process. And again, be very gentle on those tiny bits. Shaving the miniature. Just shaving the extra lines of plastic. Because they will look bad if you don't do it. They will look really bad when painted if you don't do it thoroughly. Are there any library keyword players in Croatia? That could be interesting to see again on the table. And actually, the guy for whom I will be painting these miniatures likely would be coming to the tournament in Croatia. He just hasn't made up his mind yet, but there is a chance he will come too. But I don't think he will be coming with this keyword because it's a beautiful keyword, but it will be time consuming. Yeah, there will be. I think that this will be a very popular keyword. Like Yenza is quite popular. Quite a few people have her because it's just a really good looking keyword. And this one could be the best looking one out there. Those tiny, tiny guys are super cute. And this is the one that's the one that's sitting on his head. Yeah. Just need to look at how they come together. So this guy is likely, no, that's not the one. This one will be sitting on his head maybe. Well, let me just put them all and get them all ready. And it will be so nice because he will be like this pale blue cold shade. And these guys will be super bright orangish or reddish or yellowish. I might face you if you. Oh, then please come to the tournament, and I don't know which faction you play, but I'll be happy to. I'll be happy to face anyone. I mean, I'm there for the fun. I've long time ago resigned myself to the fact that I'm not the kind of player that has the ambition of being on top of the table. I just have the ambition of and the goal of having fun. And you just need this competitive edge to get to the top. Or some luck obviously plays part in that, but you need to really push for the top spot if you want to be there. And I just I just enjoy the experience of playing, interacting with people, chatting, and can get distracted occasionally. And yeah, that's just me in a nutshell as a player. 10 times as we played on Polish Nationals. All right. Oh yes, we did. We did play, of course. We did play. Yeah, now I recognize you have a just different nickname in Poland, and that's it. Yeah, so yeah, you should come to the nationals for sure in Zagreb. It's a fun experience, and Mattia here is he if he's still around the chat can echo anything that I say. That it's great atmosphere, super nice people, better weather, regardless of where you are in Europe. It's most likely going to be better type of weather when you go out there. Oh yeah, Kim, you've kind of promised that you would come to Polish Nationals, so I'm going to hold you on to that. Now let's see, where do these tiny guys go? They all look so similar. So let's see. I need to look at the 3D render. It always helps. Okay, actually, one of them is sitting on its head, and I think that's the one. Yeah, clearly that's the one because there is even an indentation here, and he's looks like he's picking at the nodes. So yeah, that's the easy one. And the other guys, I think I will just first glue map to the base, and then I will put these tiny guys around him. Oh, so since you're here, if you're still around, here's something that you might like. That's one of the cavern Nephilims. And that's work in progress on Nekimas. Super bright, cartoonish, colorful. They will fit right in with the other Neverborn that you have. Okay, now that I look at the artwork, at the render, you see those guys sit next to him. And he has this book right in front of him. He's essentially like sitting on this book. So actually it might make sense to glue him first, then glue the book. Yeah, I think that's what I will do. Glue him, glue the book, and glue these little guys next to him. That's what I will do. So again, I will put the glue on the bottom. Then I will spray the activator on the base and put him there like that. I think that's the best position. And that way he will hold firm. And actually, yeah, there is a really clever way of figuring out how to put this little guy on this side, because there is like this indentation. Yeah, that's where he fits. Okay. So this guy goes in here. I will just glue him there. Sorry for moving it out of camera and slightly out of focus. But at this point, I'm just kind of speeding it up just to make sure that... No, I don't need to speed it up. I can still do it without haste. Just need to be thorough here and careful with the assembly. Yeah, it's actually, yeah, you see, it's fits so well. It's a really, really good fit. So there's one little guy and the other little guy. It's always fun. There will be around 20 of us. Save that one, guys. Oh yeah. I hope you will say the same after the tournament. I'm sure you will. So this guy will be attached here. And again, that's a pretty good fit. So I'll just put some of this glue for plastic, then some of the stronger glue to the base. And that's how I will go about it. Yeah, this one fits perfectly. And now just the book. Just the book, which is easy enough. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. I can just put it towards the front. Yeah, like that. It's just an open book. And there is map, which is probably will be competing for my favorite miniature in the batch. So, okay, I managed to glue him partially. Now let's put some sticker on the base. And that's it. This is map. Let's just make sure that the magnet is attached properly. Okay, there's the magnetic sticker on the base, and there's the map. Let me just zoom in on him. As long as we have fun. Yeah, that's it. The fun aspect is the essential one. Now, just look at how awesome this miniature it is. It's like super cute. Such a nice fur texture on it. It's funny that this lantern is kind of grows out of his left arm, and you have these cute little rabbit-like creatures that surround it. He just looks so inconspicuous. Just this cute, chilled bear. Yeah. All right, we still have 20 minutes to go, so I'm thinking now, what shall I do next? Maybe the Jade Rabbit? Yeah, just map, chilling out, doing nothing. Yeah, that seems like a good story in itself. Not much else is needed. All right, Jade Rabbit now. How do I go about it? He comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, and those pieces are tiny, really tiny. But I mean, why not? I think last 20 minutes of my final stream assembling a tiny rabbit, it seems right. Seems like the right thing to do. The rabbit deserves some extra screen time. So let's just cut this guy real carefully. Let's just cut him out real carefully. This is the unkillable rabbit, which is insignificant but still can drop scheme markers, as I learned in my game and in the tournament. I think he just needs to drop a card and then he can drop a ski marker, something like that. And enemy models hitting it are on double negative, which is pretty annoying. Okay, so the 6 tiny pieces are out. And now let's assemble this guy before the stream is over. The book. And whatever that is, I'm just going to look at the render. It's like, what is it? Some, I don't know what is that really. It's like a bowl with food or coals. I think it's food because there is like something that looks like a spoon that's partly inside of that bowl. And yeah, those are like map being just chilling and being cool. It's, we don't know that much about them. I think that if you dive maybe not necessarily very deep, but just slightly deeper, then you will find out quite a lot of information about these creature and the Eastern mythology in general. Okay, this hand will go last. And here, shaving the miniature again. Shaving and shaving carefully, making sure that the mold lines are gradually disappearing. And it's, again, a beautiful miniature, very nicely designed. And it's so tiny, and you see you have the fur texture. Don't know if you guys can see it. I'll try to hold it closer to the screen, but the fur texture is quite spectacular on this one. Especially given the fact that it's such a tiny miniature. And I think it should be pretty okay to assemble. Let's just get the 2 halves of the bunny first. I mean, of the jade rabbit. Let's not demean the mighty rabbit by calling him money, but calling it bunny. Yeah, they fit together really well. I think, yeah, he's looks like there is some substance that's leaking off of him. And so he just jumped out of jade soup and spreads the candy around. Spills the soup, which turns into ski markers. Just carefully, not to put too much of glue. That's why I have my paper pseudo brush to kind of spread it evenly. And the same on the chest area. So again, applying in excess and then using this piece of tissue to move it around. Now the pot. And now let's put the wabbit in. How do I put it in? This way, that way. Probably should have tested it before, but it's going to fit anyway. So, oh, his foot should be on this piece of cutlery. Yeah, fits perfectly. Just perfectly. I mean, look at it. Isn't that? He should be the master of the screw. Like, this is the real master. Ooh. Well, one thing is clear. Neither of them dies. But beyond that, and this is one of the tiniest pieces that you'll ever see. Let's just make sure I get it where I want it to be. Yeah, that's it. But that has potential for story, Mr. Dice. That has potential, like separate episode, like fan fiction. A jade rabbit and a jackalope walk into a pub. End the story with your idea. Now let's choose a 30mm base for the rabbit. I have a few. Maybe I'll choose the one that's most uneven, like this one, and position him in the... Yeah, I think I'll go with this one. And just position him somewhere in here-ish. Right. But I'll finish him before the end of the stream, that's for sure. Now I'll just put him in the middle. And then I'll add the book. Okay, this glue. I've had this bottle of glue for quite a while. And by the way, this is my absolute favorite type of glue. It's from A-Case. So the same company that makes the best cases for miniatures, which I have been a big fan of for quite a few years. Let's just add some extra glue. No, it's attaching. It's attaching. It's all good. And the book, should it be? I think I'll just place it next to it this way. I don't want to lean it on this pot because it will kind of cover it, and I don't want to do that. So I'll just place it here, somewhere here-ish, and that should be fine. So one more thing that I need to do, which is still putting the magnetic sticker on the bottom of it. I will have so much fun painting this screw. And one more thing to do, which is, again, since the pot that the rabbit is jumping on comes into halves, then there might be a gap left after the assembly, so I'll just add excess of glue and then use my paper brush to move it around. Okay, so we're slowly getting into the end phase, to use the game terminology. And you know what it means? It means that all good stories must end somewhere, and my word streaming story ends with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 assembled models from the story keyword, because that's the end of the story, but that's not the end of the adventure. So let's first of all, let's do an overview of what I assembled today and shared all my tips and tricks and things that I do to make sure that the miniatures last longer, that they are more resistant to fall damage, which happens not only in game but in real life as well. So that's Regine, the story of Regine. It's probably going to be my favorite because it has such potential. Then the second one I assembled was the story of Wukong, so the Monkey King. It's as beautiful a model as it is annoying in game. Then the next one I assembled was the story of Than Yong. Hey, thanks, mate. I will be putting pictures on my Instagram as always. It's an amazing sculpt for sure. And this is, I think, compared to other writers, this one is smaller, but I believe this is supposed to represent a child or a very young boy. That's why it makes sense that it's a bit smaller. But it's a horse partially made out of paper, and it's like pieces of book coming together. And it's great. It's a great model. Then the next one I assembled was one of the bookkeepers, which is another of the spectacular models. Yeah, the word streams are ending, but it's not the end of the world for sure. And then I assembled what I think this, I'm not sure, with Rajin or Map, but one of these two is clearly going to be my favorite. And it has such potential because you can put some funny stuff on the pieces of paper that he's studying so casually. And the last one I assembled was Jade Rabbit, the totem. So 6 miniatures. So guys, well, final words, just wrapping it all up. First of all, I want to thank Word for this amazing opportunity, for the trust and confidence in letting me paint and talk for 3 hours, and trusting that I don't say too many silly things. And none of this would be possible without help of Kim, who is featured under the Play Word nick here. She's amazing. She's a problem solver. She's the good spirit of Word. I mean, she's the opposite of Waldo. I think think Waldo and then think opposite, and then you get Kim. She's amazing, and none of these streams would be really possible without her hard work, because there is a lot of hard work going on in the background. Yeah, well, it's just giving credit where credit is due. And last but not least, thank you guys, the community who have been here joining those streams and keeping the conversation going, reacting, sharing videos, clicking on them, and just keeping the Word hobby strong, because I think that the company will be here for a good time to stay. And if we can expect anything from Word, it's more awesomeness. And I'm just happy to have had the chance to be part of this adventure. It's been a great experience, great adventure. I learned a lot from other streamers as well. And guys, there are 2 more streams to come this week, so make sure you follow Old Word social media, and and I'll see you. I don't want to say see you on the other side, right? But I hope to see you guys, some of you guys at the tournaments. I plan to go to the team tournament in the UK next year as one of them. Maybe there will be more than one Polish team, so I will likely be there. I will be in Zagreb, and I will be following you guys as well that produce amazing content. And again, it's been an honor, a pleasure, and a fun adventure, and very grateful for everything. And see you around the internet, right? Take care, everyone. It's been fun. All the best to all of you, and goodbye for now.